The recording is on. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join us. We are here today to participate in the Transmitio Summer Internship Program. And today's session is really an industry leader talk dedicated to our interns. But of course, we can all learn. We are all interns, or we were all interns at some point. And today's session is being conducted by Miss Angel. She'll introduce herself. And for introduction purposes, my name is Susan Washira-Nyika. I'm the CEO of Transmitio. And this summer, I have a summer internship program. I have 4 interns, one who is dedicated to content development. And then the other 3, they're software engineering students who are here to do software-related work. And also, we have dedicated a lot of time to also understanding how AI affects the world of engineering and everything else. So each year, I do run this program, and I open up invitations to mainly students in the section of engineering and also culture, because those are the 2 areas where I focus, or Transmitio focuses its attention. So without further ado, I'll invite our interns to introduce themselves, and then Angel will go last. So Aaron, are you in a position to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes, I am. So my name is Aaron Pan. I'm going to my 3rd year at Penn State University, and I'm studying computer science. And I'm mostly just interested in software development and AI automation.
Thank you. Nika?
Hello, everyone. My name is Nico Ashira. I'm a rising junior at Penn State University studying computer engineering and statistics. I have a lot of interest in front-end engineering. I'm starting to get into game development, software engineering, and I'm obviously very interested in using AI to help be more productive with all of my work. So very interested in this talk.
Thank you. Alfred?
Hello, everyone. Once again, my name is Alfred Shayo. I am based in Arusha, Tanzania. I work in the digital space, mainly on digital solutions, which incorporate everything from AI to any kind of solution that works mainly in the agriculture area, but also generally working with solutions to help everyday life. Thank you.
Thank you. Rita?
My name is Rita Christopher. I work at Reet Consult as a director of training and compliances. I'm happy to be in here, open to learn.
Thank you. And last but not least, Angel. Oh, we can't hear you.
Oh, I think I kept a whole slide for myself. So my name is Angel Mgawe. I'm the director of ESG and Sustainability at Reet Consult. I actually work with Rita. We're actually co-founders of the company. I have a background in technopreneurship, which is technology and entrepreneurship studies, so a bit of programming here and there. And also now I dabble a bit into the AI space, but focusing on policy, security, and governance of AI. But in another life, I deal with ESG and sustainability, but also a bit of digital transformation and ISO standards. So mostly I could say the compliance space, but technology is still my heart. So example, an advisory board for a AI company that is building AI solutions, AI tools into Swahili, but also we have solutions that are using the current models of AI, but offline. So I'm actually interested also to hear some of the projects, maybe in another call, on what everyone is working on or what everyone is interested in terms of the AI space. Now, I think I'll go straight to the conversation of today. I'll just leave the slides on, but allow me to take off my video to take off my video because I think I cannot have that much bandwidth. At least let me just work with that part. So the conversation today we'll be having is concerning the future you can say, but mostly focusing on leadership. And what I had in mind is that I wanted us to focus on a self-awareness point of view and not just look at leadership in terms of the theories and all these types of leaders that are out there. And I believe everyone is a leader in them, And sometimes people, we have a tendency of going for the titles and thinking that is enough for us, but actually leadership starts inside. Even ourselves, when we train, because we do have sessions in leadership, what we do train, we don't start by going all out of leaders, but what we start is from a self-awareness point of view, understanding yourself. From understanding yourself, from your strengths and weaknesses, is when you can determine what type of leader you are, what type of leader you want to be. So what we'll be covering today is self-awareness, and then we'll come and talk about DISC profile, understanding your own wiring, but also we'll finalize into a session about growing into someone that is worth following. And I think this is very key because people, as I said, if you have a title, then people would automatically want to follow you, which in reality is not the case. So self-awareness, this is where we're going to be looking at how you show up in terms of yourself. And I want you guys to just sit quietly as I'm going through the conversation and think about the nice thoughts about yourself. How do you show up in meeting? How you react when somebody challenges your idea? What happens to your voice when you feel overlooked? What do you do when projects is failing? And what do you do if it's your failure, if you feel it's your fault? That is all information about you. Now there are two types of actually awareness. So we have both the internal awareness and then the external awareness. Internal awareness, we look at where it starts from the inside, is knowing yourself from the inside. So you're looking at your emotional triggers, what sets you off without warning. It's always the small things, or it can be the big things, but what pisses you off? And these things can be as small as sometimes triggers can be. Example, there are people who, let's say time. It could be somebody's late 5 minutes and that just triggers you. And there are people, actually time is not a factor. Somebody can be late and they're just, it's okay. So your default patterns when you're stressed, what happens to you when you're stressed? Other people, when they're stressed, they go quiet, they get angry, they get anxious, they get depressed, whatever emotions those are. Those are your internal awareness. What do you do when you're on autopilot, when things get tense? What do you tell yourself? What drives you versus what quietly drains you? So what wakes you up in the morning to push you to do the things that you do? And what do you actually do, but you have to do, but you actually don't want to do, and you end up finding that this is something that is actually draining your energy. Now, most of the times, this is where our blind spots are. You cannot see it. Sometimes we're not even aware of ourselves. And this is where self-awareness needs to start here. Example, you are a young man, let's say, and you realize that maybe every time somebody questions you, you immediately become defensive. And you immediately maybe give out responses in a way that you're defending your point without actually listening. How many times have you talked to someone, you're trying to explain something to them, but maybe because it's different from what they understand or what they believe and think, automatically they start to become defensive and you don't even hear your point of view, because in
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
oh, sorry, can you hear me?
We lost you for just maybe a minute there.
Oh, where did I end? External awareness?
Yes.
So I'm going to start again with external awareness.
Thank you.
So in regards to external awareness, I was saying that is understanding how others experience you. As I was saying that I, as Angel, we can line up 5 people and each person will give a version of how they experience me. There'll be others that will say she's the most nicest, kindest person. And then there'll be others who say I'm mean. There'll be others who say maybe she's too serious or whatever. Others will say that she's very much fun. Others will describe you as reserved. So everybody, despite the fact that they are not 5 angels, but everyone experiences you differently. So that is the external awareness. So even in yourself right now, even if you go to your parents and to your friends, everyone will be experiencing you in a different way. And most of the time, This does not come from not how you think you are. And this is where people make a mistake. They think that I think I'm this way and automatically assume that's how people experience you. While in reality, that's not the case. What you think of yourself is not necessarily how people experience you. And this is where you find that now becomes a problem of a tug of war of who you are saying and how people experience you. And you're like, I'm the nicest person, but people are not experiencing you from a nice point of view. This person will be like, no, you're not. And then you'd find that even people are arguing back and forth, but no, I'm nice, I'm polite, or I'm this. But that's not how people are getting that side from you. So the gap is actually between your intent and the impact that you have. And this is why sometimes you can have the best intentions and do something good, but it's received negatively because sometimes your intentions is not necessarily the impact that comes out of what you've done. I don't know if we're getting what I'm saying, because you'd find that even in certain situations, even your body language, it commutes something different. And this is where we call the silent, or there's a word they call a brown, I think it's called a silent power. Because if I am speaking and I'm smiling, these are two different things. Or I'm speaking and my hands are crossed, or my body language is pulled back. This gives a very different output on how somebody receives you. So you could find that you've had a very good conversation, it went very well, but somebody comes out of that saying something completely different, but you're like, but I was polite. But you'd find that the whole time you are polite, your face looks pissed off, pulled off. So that becomes a whole different conversation. So what does this mean now when you're talking about leadership? It means that you can be a leader and can be intend maybe to be decisive and be experienced as dismissive, meaning that you can be a person that I want to be a leader that can maybe make decisions or be decisive, but when people come and experience you, they feel that you're dismissive, meaning that you don't listen or don't take their opinions. So they can intend to be direct and be expressed as I said, people can be very direct. People can say, yeah, this person is direct, but this person is rude. Or your intent sometimes and impact may not be the same thing. And this is why external awareness needs to be reached and needs to be really well connected. Now, take a minute and answer honestly on not who you want to be, but who you are right now. So I'm assuming everyone can see the questions and the screen. So just go through them and then answer honestly. You don't need to say it to me, but just yourself. Example now, let's start with question number 1. When you are wrong, what do you do first? Do you admit it or explain it? Most of the time, most people explain it first. We justify, we provide context, we manage how it sounds, and then the admission, if we want to admit, comes later, if at all, because that is why people argue, is because you'd find this with all the explanations, somebody's not seeing my point of view. So in the end of the day, you find even a conclusion of the matter does not really come in place. So ask yourself, how long does it take you to get genuinely accountable? Or if ever, accountability comes with admitting when you're wrong. And most people feel like if I admit I'm wrong, then maybe I'll be weak or people will view me in a different way. So that's question number 1. Let's move on to question number 2. What does stress look like on your face and in your words? Now, this is also, we're looking about external awareness. How are you reacting when you're stressed? What do people see or hear from you? Do you go quiet or do you become short with people? Short meaning like you're angry with people, like somebody answers and you just snap? Or do you over communicate? Or most people never actually consciously understand how they are when they're stressed. So there are others that just want to be quiet. For me personally, if I'm stressed, I would go quiet and I want to be left alone. Literally want to be left alone. So how are you reacting when you feel stressed? If not, it's a good time to now notice yourself or build that pattern. If I'm stressed, how do I react? Now, question number 3. What is a pattern in your behavior that keeps appearing in conflict? This is one of the biggest issues in relationship building or communication, conflict resolution. What happens to you if you're in an argument Not necessarily like a single incident, but maybe a pattern that you've seen yourself having. And this is something that shows up maybe again and again. Maybe the person who's always going quiet, the one who escalates, the one who takes charge, even if it's not their decision. What is yours? You'd find, even maybe if I put this in a perspective of maybe relationships, you'd find even in couples when they're arguing, if there's an issue that needs to be fixed, you'd find either one is avoiding the issue, the other one is pushing for them to discuss the issue. Usually, what do you feel before you respond? Do you feel annoyance? Do you feel fear? Or do you feel the urge to prove yourself? That feeling is driving your response before your brain catches up, and knowing it gives you a choice. So most of the time, if somebody challenges you, you'd find, as I said, these are the three things. Either somebody becomes annoyed, but most of the time people have an urge to prove yourself. They want to prove, no, that's not true. And this is something actually I would add a tip on. If you have the urge to prove yourself, you have to be very careful on what you spill or what your communication in order for you to prove your point. Because even when we are talking about psychology, even manipulation tactics, this is actually one of them. Sometimes people challenge your idea because they want more information out of you. And because the natural response of people is to prove themselves that I know more, I'm correct, you'd end up finding that you give out more than you should. Now, question number 5. What do people avoid telling you? And why do you think that is? Now, this one is a bit of a challenge, but I think this is something that is equally important. Why do people avoid telling you some things? Is it how you react? Is it how you take things, how you respond to things? This is something as you grow as a leader, you'd find that there are some companies that because of the leadership style, the employees are honest. People are working, even if it's good or bad news, people are ready to tell you as a leader. But the way you react and maybe how you give feedback, whatever, you'd find that instead, the team that you're leading, being honest with you, they end up hiding things from you. So look at yourself, and that reveals is that it's either the way you react. Why do people avoid telling you certain things? And finally, the last one is, what is the last time you changed your mind because someone else was right? If you cannot remember, that is okay. But what I'm saying here is I want to see flexibility in terms of your mindset. Because as a leader, you should never have a decisive or closed mindset. You should always have flexibility because things are constantly changing. You're constantly receiving information. You're constantly talking to people. But when you're closed-minded, you'd find that even if people are giving you feedback, then you're not really saying much of anything. So hopefully with these 6 questions, we can a bit have an understanding to draw a picture of self-awareness of who you are. So you can answer them honestly in your time. I'll also share the slides so that if you want to continue using or refer back to the questions, then it can be covered. Now, the second part when it comes to self-awareness is actually now linked to a bit of behavioral styles. This is what we call a DISC profile. Actually, this is one of the services that we provide for our own clients when it comes to leadership. Because as I said, leadership is self-awareness. And self-awareness comes from a DISC, what we call a DISC assessment, knowing where to place you in personalities. Now, globally, there are various versions of this. They're the ones that are based on colors, that are based on whatever different methods, but I usually prefer a DISC method, where it allows us to know where your personality is, so then you can know your strengths and weaknesses and how to work on that. So this looks in terms of 4 personalities. So there is dominance, there is influential, there is steadiness, and then there is conscientious. So dominance, this is the D style, of course. This, of course, is focused on results focused. It's very decisive, very direct, and very action-oriented. They're the ones who you'd find that they take charge and they challenge, of course, the status quo, and things move very fast with them. These are the leaders who get things done when others are still debating. And at the same time, despite, of course, the good part of this is that they can really what we call bulldoze people. They can pull people to just go with them, even if people are not ready. So sometimes you'd find because of that, Some people can feel that they're just being dragged on and they're not really involved in the decision making and all that, because they, on one side, they prioritize results over relationships. So these are not the type of people that you go and you start crying about. These are the people that, where are we? Where are we results? Why is this thing not moving? So they're very focused on the finished line. And unfortunately, sometimes they can leave their team behind because they can make decisions and move on their own. And so this, in terms of relationship building, you'd find that they can have maybe confused or bruise the team, or sometimes they can be quite resentful, especially if they're working with people who cannot move on the same pace. The next style is, of course, influence. This is where you'd find that it's more of a magnetic style of personality, in which, of course, they inspire, they're the ones who energize, they connect. These are the ones who like the collaborative, make people be seen and felt. And in the room, they're the most liked, actually. They're the ones who are the most liked, the most talkative, they connect well with people, they know everything about everyone, very cheerful. And also they're the ones who have a very critical who are in the influential group. But of course, with this, there's also the other side. They can overly promise. As I said, because of their people skills, they can overly promise things that they cannot do because they want to impress. These are the people in the market are able to sell anything and communicate. These are people who hate conflict. So if you have this personality, it means as a leader, one of the things that you need to work on is conflict resolution. They hate conflict because then they don't really like having the hard conversation. So they are more focused in being liked. So these are not the type of people that they will say, even if maybe there's a failure, because they want to be liked and they want to be needed. So it's difficult for them sometimes to be truthful, and especially in hard situations. The next style is steady listeners, and they're extremely loyal, even under pressure. So they're the ones who create a level of stability. Even when everyone else is panicking, they're very steady and they're just very still, and they show up. Now, these are the ones you'd find that even in meetings, they're the quiet ones. You don't necessarily hear their voices. They exist, but they're just there. Now, the shadow part of it is that they resist change. These are not the people that like change, and change for them is the biggest area of weakness. So if you are a leader with a steadiness kind of personality, you need to be working on your change management style, or being able to things to remain the same way as they are, and things will never move. This is why you can come into a company, if your leader has a steadiness, how it was 20 years ago, and now it's still the same thing. But also because of this, also they also avoid conflict. They don't like conflict, and they are often the people who just agree in meetings to keep things in peace. But so this is the type of personality that they have. And the final one is conscientious. So these are the analytical types. These are the ones who hold themselves, of course, to high standards. They plan carefully. So they like planning, they like research, they like analytics. So the professionals such as data analytics, this maybe accountants, procedures, but in compliance, these are the type of people with this kind of personality. They like rules and procedures followed, and they need as much data and information for them to make decisions. These are the people you send your document to review, and you'd find even the smallest comma, they would notice it. Now, what is the challenge with them? The challenge with them is that they can fall analysis paralysis, meaning that those people that you work with and they just collect so much information, or just requesting more information and not really making a decision. So they would end up sometimes in a circle where they're just doing that and not really coming to an end. And also they spend so much time perfecting, so sometimes that causes delay and things do not move forward. Now, with all that I've said, where do you feel that you fall more likely in terms of your personality? But I'll also add This is only, you can have more than one personality. So you can have DI, ID, SC, CS, mixed, because you can have more than one. But at the same time, despite this, why do we start here? Is because we start here in order to allow people to first know their default settings in terms of their personality. And then that allows us to be able to work in areas that they need based on those. So the weaknesses, example, maybe dealing with conflict. An influential person, then you teach skills that as a leader, you need to have difficult conversations. This is what you need to do. Example, in terms of dominance, you'd now be teaching more of teamwork building. How do you manage team? How do you get people involved in the work that you're doing and team and all that? So steadiness, it means we would now bed into your program for you to be able to be aware that I know I don't like change, but I need to keep up with change. How can I be able to be ready to accepting change? So these are the 4 personality discs, but this is just the beginning. We can have multiple of them, and there's a lot more. Now, based on your style, you would find that even when stressed, it amplifies either your best or your worst traits. And this is why I'm saying that the disc can give out a lot of information about you as a person, style. So example, if you're a disc, when stressed, you can become very anxious. You would find that they become hypercritical. It means that they also constantly just asking for more information, and they're just trying to perfect with no end. So looking at your personality, looking at how you react under pressure, where do you think you feel you are starting to see the picture and where you fall in regards to personality? So these are a few questions. Pick one, or from this, which one you feel that you are most likely to relate to. So example D, in a group project, I take charge, I push for results and get frustrated when things move too slowly. Are you there? In an I, then I energize the room, love people, sometimes start things I don't finish because something exciting comes up. Or are you an S, where I keep things calm, support the team quietly, and stay silent in conflict even when I disagree? Or do you come to C, where I research thoroughly before deciding, maybe hold high standards and get frustrated when others don't match my quality? So you can look at here in some of these questions. I'll leave it maybe for 1 more minute, and then you see where you fall in terms of the disc assessment. So with all that I've said, when things actually shows your true character. One of my friends, he's a lawyer. He always told me, and this is something I've always had in my head, is that when you're negotiating a contract, negotiate it as if you're getting a divorce. Why? Is because when you are in the good times, when you are happy with your client, when everything is going well with the team, then you become blinded. Even the small is not important. But when things go wrong, when you're now in a separation, or you and your client are going back and forth, this is when now the contract comes in place, and you realize that you agreed into certain things because you are happy at that point. So even in leadership, most of the time we think we're like, no, we are good, I'm a good leader, and I'm a nice leader, I'm a polite leader. But when the pressure comes, this is when that gets tested, is how nice are you? How polite are you when things are going off? So here is where we are. So there's the trigger and there is the response. And that is where now the leadership part comes in place. So you have a trigger when something happens, then you have the gap. This is where you choose your response, your mind is processing. And then you have the response where people now see what your response. This is the impact part. So how do we put this in practice? So I'm feeling maybe defensive right now. That's something that's triggered you. Maybe somebody had asked you a question, or maybe they gave you a different point of view from what you've said. So this is when now you think, and then you look at your body also, how is it reacting? And then the response now comes in place, is that how do you answer into this? What does this situation need from me? Do I need to be more defensive? Do I need to agree? How am I showing up? So when it comes to this, and this is what I'm saying, is that this is when the character is not who you are when things are easy. It's when who you are when the funding falls through, or when maybe the team member makes a public mistake, or when you're blamed for something that was not your fault, when you're exhausted, but you still need to be able to show up. Maybe I'll also add a bit more here is that in the gap here, when you choose your response, you're responding most of the time from a point of stress. So you need to be able to respond from a point of leadership. And if you're not aware of yourself when you're being triggered, how you're reacting, then you'd find you respond based on your default mode. And then they feel maybe going directly to doing something or saying something, or in the end, actually, even sometimes you'd find things even going worse than before. And this is where you find sometimes people react, they even fight. The triggered people are getting into a fight. Why? Because in the gap, they never got time to really do a self-analysis before they respond. So you'd find that people get triggered, response. The point of having the gap in between is for you to breathe, be self-aware, how is the best way to approach. And sometimes as a leader, sometimes people tell you maybe to be quiet is the best way, but not necessarily. It depends on the situation. There's some situations where as a leader, you need to speak up. But there are some situations where as a leader, you need to be quiet, and maybe sometimes you need to be able to walk away, and sometimes you need to be able to phrase how you answer or respond. So building trust. So most of the time, people do not follow titles. And this is something people really need to understand, even for yourselves as you go. People do not really follow titles. Titles are there, but people follow the people they trust. And this is why you can even be in a meeting, the CEO can speak and say everything that they want to speak. But you'd find people don't really follow or say what he says. And there's another, it could be the CEO, or they could be whoever else, have a title. But when they speak and say something, you'd find everyone in the team follows them. Or even in a group, you find automatically, even if this person was not chosen as a leader, but people just follow whatever they say. And so this is where trust is. And most of the time, trust is built by small things. The smallest moments that you do not realize are the ones that build trust. And trust is built over time. It's not something that you come in, I'm a leader, trust me. No, it's something that you need to earn from somebody. So you'd find from those small moments how things are, is where now you'd find people either trust you or don't trust you. So how is it earned? So trust is earned through 3 ways. No, actually 4 main ways. First of all, it's consistency. You do what you say every time, not just what is convenient. And I know this might sound very simple, but most of the time people are not consistent. And once people feel that you're not consistent, they feel that this is a person I cannot trust, because they don't know if this time around I've given you this task, are you going to do it or not do it? As a leader, if you're promising something to the team, you need to ensure that happens, okay? And if it doesn't happen, how you respond and how you giving feedback. But if you keep promising to your team and nothing happens, they just feel that this person is not consistent. This is not a leader that I can trust and follow. Second pillar is honesty. Now, you need to be able to tell the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, including about yourself, and actually, especially about yourself, because a leader cannot say I was wrong or I do not know. Is not an honest leader. They are performing one. We all have weaknesses. You have weaknesses. As a leader, you need to be able to accept and communicate that, hey, I'm not perfect. I have my weaknesses. I need help in this. This is when the team can trust you, because they know that this is something that this is a person that they're being vulnerable with us. Then this is a person that is actually being honest. The third part is competence. You actually need to be able to do your job well. And you need to be able, people trust people that they take their craft seriously or take their job seriously, because you cannot say that I'm a software engineer and you don't know how to software. How are you leading the team? How are they going to be able to follow you if they feel that maybe this person cannot do what they do? But most importantly, you need to actually care. It means that it's not just about resources and roles, but being able to deal with people in terms of the human pressures, even living outside of work. When they feel that you're genuinely invested in them, then they also feel that you are a person that they can trust. And it can be small things, how you greet them, how you follow them, It's those things that even in conversation, you'd find that we do. So this, I've covered, I think, majority of this already. What are the things that actually destroy trust fast? Is actually saying yes and doing nothing. Rather, don't even agree to it, but also being different in public and private. Don't be those people that I would say you're faking it. Inside your house, you're a nice person. Outside to people, maybe to customers, you're nice, but inside to the employees, you're mean and harsh, and people will not necessarily trust you. Also, taking credit and defecting blame. That means that taking credit on somebody else's work and not taking accountability for the mistakes that you have made. That destroys trust. But also, worst of all, is listening only when it benefits you. It means that sometimes in order for us to build relationships, you need to be able to listen to anyone, even if it has no benefit for you. But because the intention is somebody is being heard and listened to, then that helps this person to feel that I am being listened to. Now, these are the leading questions in regards to trust. So these are some of them that you can need to do a self-analysis for yourself to see how people are with you. So question number one, do people bring you problems, or do they hide them from you? Question number two, when you say you'll do something, what is your actual completion rate? 3, have you ever broken someone's trust and not acknowledged it? And number 4, do you behave differently with people who can promote you versus those who cannot? So these are questions that you can do a self-analysis on in order for you to see where you are in terms of trust in people around you, or in some of these areas are things maybe you need to be able to start working on. Now, the final slide is growing into somebody worth following. As I said, growth is not a destination. We are constantly growing, and you need to be able to grow with that. Even as a leader, even as myself personally, when I started, wow, it's been so long, 13 plus years ago, I was a different person than I am now. I'm constantly learning. I'm still constantly growing. And my leadership style has changed throughout the years because of where I am, position I am in, the things I've learned, and most importantly, as I've become more self-aware of myself. So before you can be able to lead others, you need to look at yourself. And this is where it comes to growth. What feedback have you received more than once and you've still not acted? Look at yourself. The people that are around you and surrounding you, they've given you feedback, maybe on certain behaviors or things that you need to work on. Have you acted on them, or have you just been dismissive? Influence. Do you lead by example, or does your example intend it to, or what you say? It's about what you do. So look at yourself when you're saying that I want to lead the team, we're going to work on this. Are you showing it by example, or is this those things that I'm going to do this, but you're not really doing it? Third part, humility. What is the last time you were genuinely wrong, and what did you actually do? So something happened. This is normal. Things do happen. How did you deal with it? What did you actually do? Did you say sorry? Did you keep quiet? Did you become accountable? Number 4, what is the one thing about your DISC scale that is currently costing you in your relationship? So I want you, when you answer this, to look back. Where do you think you are in terms of your DISC personality? And then from there, be able to answer. Maybe from those weaknesses, are you too rude? Are you maybe avoiding conflict? Are you a person maybe avoiding change? And how is that affecting your relationship? And lastly, legacy. If the next generation watches how you handle yourself this year, what will they learn? So this is about doing a self-reflection. This is a similar exercise that maybe 5 years from now, what do you want people to remember you for? If somebody closes their eyes and say, oh, tell me what kind of leader is maybe Shayo, then you need to be able somebody needs to be able to describe how they experience you. So these are some of the few daily practices that you can have as future leaders. As I said, you don't need to transform, you just need to be consistent. So do a daily review. Maybe how did you show up to people, or what did I do? How was I with people? Secondly, you can be a person be able to seek truth. Get a person who can provide you with honest feedback about you and how you show up to people. Okay. And number 3, of course, know your triggers. This is very important. So you can research more about the DISC personalities, and there are some free assessments that can give you a hint. You answer a couple of questions, because from then you can be able to even look at yourself. What are your triggers? So that you can name them. Happens. But also look at the model upwards, meaning learn who are your models. This is why we have mentorship programs, we have coaching programs. Who do you want to look up to? Who do you want to become? What attributes do they have that you can do yourself? Another part, do the uncomfortable. Most of the time, in order for us to grow, we need to do the most uncomfortable thing. This can be public speaking, can be developing something new, this can be pitching, whatever it is. In order for you to grow, you need to be uncomfortable. And also, lastly, you need to be able to celebrate progress, because most of the time we have a goal of 1 to 10, but even if it's 1 from you've achieved maybe 1 to now you're in stage 2, that is also progress that you can show yourself, because also that puts in the mind that you're moving forward, so you celebrate progress. Now, as I'm wrapping up here, I want you to make 3 commitments, and I want you to write them down. One thing to understand about yourself. So sit down in the end of the week, just answer honestly something maybe you've been avoiding to do or to change. Then this is something you can write down. 2, choose your one situation where your default style is not working. So maybe this can be how you handle conflict, or maybe how you communicate, or how you motivate the team. So from your DISC style, look at maybe one of those personalities trigger behaviors that it's not just working for you based on your personality. But also lastly is, how do I come across when things get difficult? So I want you to sit down and listen. Things are not going well. How are you impacting the people around you? Okay. And then from there, be able to work on that. So with that said, thank you so much. The work is yours. And as I said, it needs leaders who know themselves to stay honest under pressure and keep growing past the version of themselves that others already know. Thank you.
Fantastic. That was really, really, really nice. Thank you, Angel. Can you hear me? There's a bit of an echo.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. That
yes,
was really good. I wish we had more time to sign up for the leadership session, because I feel with the DISC, I have seen other versions of the assessment, which derives and gives you an idea of your personality style and the like. But it's always good to see another tool, another way of thinking, another method, and also to know that your style could cut across all of the styles, right? Depending on where you are in your career, depending on the project, and depending on many other factors. So thank you. So at this point, I'd like to invite anyone on the call, if they had any specific questions, to please go ahead and raise your hand and ask your questions. Nika, go ahead.
I have one question about leadership. But my question is, how do you get people if you're being a leader, how do you get people who you're working with, either who you're leading or peers, other leaders, to understand your vision in terms of what you want to get done, what you're prioritizing, and what you really think is important for a certain piece of work or a certain job, whether that's creatively or with managerial work or whatever?
For me, usually it's the buy-in. I know, sounds easy. Buying in from the team. Because most of the time as leaders, you'd find that we have our own ideas in our heads, but we are not the only ones who can be able to implement that idea. And that comes from sharing the vision with the team and sitting down and getting their opinions on it. And this sometimes can involve asking questions such as, what do you think of this? If it was you, how would you go about this? These are the goals. Do you feel this is the timeline that would be sufficient? Or do you have other ideas or opinions on going about it? Because once somebody has bought in and they feel that they were involved in the process or in building the vision, then they feel that they're also part of it. It's more likely for them to be able to accomplish it. But if you just drop it down, this is only what I want you to do, just go for it, sometimes you'd find that people is where the resistance comes in. Things are not moving, things are not going, but despite the fact you have set out the goals, you have set out the plans, but people are very sensitive. Even in teams, people are very sensitive. So you'd find the buy-in matters more than even the execution of the vision that you have. So the buy-in comes first, even if there's nothing that's going to change. But the point that you asked for their opinion, the point that maybe you could have integrated one or two of their ideas in or accepted some of the things they've said out, then you'd find that most of the time they buy it, and the project is easier to be managed and the team would move more cohesively.
All right, thank you.
Great question. Thank you for the insight, Rachel. Angel, anybody else? Oh, Fred, go ahead.
I hope everyone can hear me. My question would be,
Yes.
Especially if you're a leader with managerial situation like the CEO, how do you get good feedback from your team without them being honest and not being afraid of telling you maybe the truth or trying not to upset you?
And this is okay. This is where now I go back to the same question that we were talking about, trust. When the team trusts you, they'll be able to communicate with you openly. And the trust comes on the pattern that you have been responding to them even in the past. Because in the end of the day, if they feel unsafe, there is nothing that you can do that they can be able to come. Let me put it in another analogy. You see kids, how they are. If you have an extremely strict parent, you are always shouting, you're always whatever. Most of the times kids will not come and even they don't want to play with you or they don't want to come and tell you the truth. You see? Because they feel like, I don't trust you. If I come and tell, then something will happen to me. So they hide that. So when you come now, the same behavior that comes to teams in adults, it's the trust part that allows them to be able to come and tell you honest feedback. Sometimes you are really mad at that time will determine. Sorry, it seems, let me switch off my video. It's breaking. How you react will determine if they'll ever come back again to come and tell you something. And this is why they come and tell you something has gone wrong. Hey, Shayo, this is what has happened. This has gone wrong, this and this. I'm sorry, what do we do? Your first reaction to shout, why would you do that? And you go all out. This person knows next time that if I come and he does that, he's going to shout at me. I'm not going to tell him. So what you do instead is you are still pissed off, but you have to keep it inside. And you put that aside in empathy, be like, this has happened. So how can we solve this? How do we react to this? As a team, let's do this and this and this. And then another day when the emotions have come down, and that's also key, when emotions have come down, when they're not panicking and you're not panicking, you then have a conversation, which is a one-to-one session with them. That, hey, or even with the team, guys, there's something that happened maybe 2 days ago, even if maybe the issue has been resolved, but this is how I feel and this is how I see. Calmly, your tone, your voice, your body language, remember, tells the team everything they need to know. So your reaction will be the opening point on how honest they can come and give you feedback. But once they start giving you feedback and they see you're reacting not well or favorable sometimes, you find you close that door off.
Thank you, Fred. Aaron, I think you had your hand up too at the same time as Fred. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I understand that you've had many years experiencing leadership, being a leader, but do you ever feel like you're just figuring things as you go? And if so, how do you stay motivated during that moment, or how do you stay confident?
Every day. By the way, there's no formula. As much I have learned, and that's why I say I keep growing. Despite me, myself, where I am right now, I also have mentors. I had an issue that I needed sorting, and I did not know how to approach it. What can I do? So even I seek counsel. There are people that are in my very inner circle that I would call and be like, I don't know what to do with this. How would you advise me to approach this? Because in the end, you cannot know everything, and I'm not expecting you to. So every single day, it's a learning and every day has different challenges, because despite what you can be self-aware, but there could be a challenge that you've never experienced before. There could be something new that is coming up and you're like, what is this now? And as you're growing, you'd find that there are now more teams, people with new personalities that you have never experienced, new problems on teams dynamics. So many things are always changing. So the thing that you now have to rely on is, this is the time where you start seeing that, who can I reach out to help me maybe see a different perspective, who can teach me more. So example, the people that I reach, I find they have 30 years experience. So the things that I'm now trying to figure out, but then they have the experience, some sort of version, not necessarily the same thing, because now they're also experiencing Gen Z. So they're like, we don't know how to do with Gen Z. And I'm like, oh, please, it's the same thing. But they can give you counsel and be like, maybe do it this way. I remember, they say, I remember we had a similar issue, and they give you that. But every day, I do not know. I know what I know, but there's so much things I don't know. I try to figure things out. And as I said, growth. So I'm always, my team knows, I'm always on social media. But even my social media sometimes, example, if you go through my TikTok, it's about leadership content. I follow accounts that they are business owners. So you'd find when they're explaining about the different challenges maybe they're facing in terms of business. So that also becomes a learning from me that, oh, there's this. So this is how they dealt with that. But most importantly, there is no way you can know everything, but have people that you can call and you're confident this person knows what they're doing and the advice is solid, that you can reach out and be like, this is what I'm going through. How can you advise me in handling this issue with the team? Because there's no formula.
Thank you.
Any other question, follow-up question? I have a question of myself on my end here. I believe in many capacities. I take myself as a leader, but in the work that I do, working with global teams, I find that culture as a role it plays in people's styles of leadership. And I was curious, I would like to know from the assessments that you've done using the DISC, have you been able to see that data you've collected, how it changes or how culture plays a role in just the outcome of it?
Yes, a bit. Because based on the cultures, you'd find majority of the results of people, let me put it from perspective of Tanzania, fall under the I or S personality, especially the S. We have that saying, pole pole, Tanzania kia kitu pole pole, we're going things pole pole. So you would find the results of the team. This, I think, back in January, we did an assessment team of around 11 supervisors. Of those 11 supervisors, around 8 of them fall under the S character. And then the CEO was around the D personality. And then we had 2 of them who were a bit on the conscientious, and another one I think was on the influential, but not much. So imagine the CEO with a D personality, but with a team of S. Even when in my previous company, when we did a lot of assessment, most fell in that pattern. So the cultural part comes that if you look at it, the way we are raised, Tanzanians, we are not raised to speak up. We are raised to be polite. We are raised to be agreeable, because even to our own parents, if you say no, then it seems you are a problem. You are being disrespectful. That's how it's termed. Disagreement seems disrespectful. So even if it could be the child maybe has a different personality, but the culture ends up shaping them on how they think and how they respond. So I don't have much data from a lot of clients from a lot of other countries, but even from observation, Tanzanians, let's say, and Kenyans, we're neighbors, but we're different. Why do we consider maybe Kenyans to be more aggressive, more direct, more pushy? Because culture. For them, they want something, they'll go for it and speak and fight for it. Tanzanians, we don't fight. We are quiet, we are agreeable. So even that shows in our assessments, because the way the questions are structured is you're given scenarios. How would you react? How would you do this? So automatically, remember, we are raised from a mindset of no fight, no conflict. We don't like change. For us, change, even in terms of whatever process, it takes forever. it's bureaucracy. So that doubles all the way down. And I think that's also a good question. I would like to see results from other countries more also. But even from us, you would find majority fall in the S part, their steadiness, but also because we are social beings. So the I is common to find a lot of I's. We like stories, we're storytellers, we have community.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely true. And with the intersection of what I do and then also as a culture consultant, based on the assessment we do run on the culture side, when we do culture assessment, we also see exactly what you said, depending on where you were born, how you were raised, and where you went to school. And for those who've been in the industry for a while, sometimes the influence of where you're working, you could have been born in Tanzania, but then you went to school in Kenya, and then you went to university in Australia or the US or wherever. So if you look at that person or if you work with that person, you can see some traits of that journey they've taken. And if they're a CEO or CFO, you can see how also sometimes they're able to pivot. And so the disc becomes, some days they're like a D, and then there are times if you encounter them, they're able to be more influential, right? To use their influence, and maybe they're more diplomatic too. So this is super helpful. And if I could digest that down to interns who are in university right now, you find that they're in a space where they are in class with people who they went to high school with, but they're also working or in class with international students. And they might have a professor who might never have traveled outside of the university setting. So the leadership traits or skills, you have to be mindful, because you could be working on a project with a student, let's say from, just for the sake of this example, Kenya or Tanzania, and they might have really good ideas, but because the way we were nurtured is not to speak up, you might be dismissive. But it's to keep in mind that leadership, even at the university level, you just have to be aware of your style, but aware that you're dealing with other students who could come from just a different setting. So that's how I would summarize it. Any other question, comment, anything else, Angel, you want to add?
No, for me, I have nothing to add. I'll share the slides with you, then you can share with the team. They can be able to review, but also if anybody has questions, then they can always be able to reach out if they need more clarification or more feedback. I can also be a mentor. I'm available. But, yes, I'm also learning. So I'm very curious about the AI stuff that everyone is doing in some of the projects. So yes.
Yeah, happy to share more about that. Just reach out to me. And we have other people on the call. If they have questions, please unmute, raise your hand. And if everyone could indulge me and just turn on your cameras, if you can, for a quick picture session, you can smile now. I'd appreciate that. Anybody else brave enough to turn on your camera? Rita, Helen, Happy? All right, maybe you're not in a position to. I understand that. So everybody else, smile.
Sorry.
No, it totally understand.
Sorry, I'm not in a position to take a picture. I'm sorry.
No. I understand you here. It's almost noon, lunchtime. Maybe you're unapika, maybe it's dinner time wherever you are. Maybe you're traveling. I totally understand. Totally understand. We are working with a global team, so we need to be mindful of time differences and other obligations. We know how to multitask. So for me, it's to say thank you, and to just say that with the Transmitio Summer Internship Program, during the week, we do a lot of hardcore development work, technical work, but we take time in our program to just meet with industry leaders, be it in leadership, be it in the technical space, because we, as engineers, as students, we just need to have a broad mindset and to know that our success is not defined by what we learn in class, but it's defined truly by what you're exposed to. And like Angel said, to continue to always grow and learn. We're not perfect. Sometimes you're just figuring it out. But I'm hoping that all these sessions are helpful in not only expanding your network, but expanding how you think about certain problems. And if you didn't think about leadership in this structured way, so today you have another tool. And if you didn't know about Angel, if you didn't know even where Tanzania is, today you got some geography in there in addition to engineering work. So at Transmitio, we are mindful, we are global citizens. So Angel, thank you. We go far, but we have a lot more to do together. And for everyone who took time to join the call, thank you very much. Please connect online and really, really appreciate it. So asante sana. And I wish everyone a fantastic evening and day. And Angel, reach out to me. I'm happy to share the work we're doing on AI and see how we can collaborate on other things. Thank you. All right. Bye.